Imagine that. Imagine that. Life could change. Imagine that.
All right, so this the first episode, the looniest one, and AMS
I'm
is
Mr.
a
Todd now.
okay, Mr. Todd, formerly known as the looniest one,
Yeah.
and
Some
AMS.
sometimes I'm still the looniest one. I think when I'm on the microphone, I can be the looniest one. Although
Yeah,
I'm the black David Icke.
hmm yeah, that's another one too. That's a gem right there. Shout out to whoever knows what this man is talking about when he says that. So, okay, let's get into it. Obviously, we discussed this before. Well, just briefly,
Yeah.
but we're gonna talk about Kanye and put everything together and connect it around Kanye. So first, let's just start off with his music. Um, how do you feel about his music overall, like beginning and now where he's at?
Uh, well, I like old Kanye. I'm kind of like
Hmm.
everybody else, where up until like I'll even go with 808s. Um, I don't think that was a bad album. The
Hmm.
Twisted Fantasy was kind of weird, or Twisted
Hmm.
something. Um, uh, well, I shouldn't say I liked it. There's a few like So Appalled. Um,
Hmm.
you know, um,
Yeah, boy in the new dress. No.
no, it's a.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't. That's not one of them. There's
Okay.
like the one with like Pusha T on it, and then there's one with
Sahad the Prince.
yeah, I like Sci. But it's always like a bunch of them. But I'm trying to think who it is. It's like
All the
Raekwon.
lights.
Is it Raekwon? Somebody. But
It's just straight up rapping.
yeah, it's on the Dark
Yeah.
that album. But I like some of those. And then
Okay.
after that, he kind of lost me for a while. And then I
Okay.
tried to do the Sunday service,
Hmm.
and it was more like I think the music is good, but
Hmm.
I don't know how to explain it without sounding like because I'm not trying to be a negative in a way. I'm just more or less saying like, well, you know me, but it's like I just say it like
Yeah.
it is. But it's like this. This business is show business, and if you need to sell this, you're gonna do whatever it is you have to sell. I'm not
Hmm.
questioning his faith. I'm not questioning none of that. I'm just saying when the Sunday service came, he still did a song with like what's it, Lil Pump?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, let me put in simpler terms for the people who are listening to this. Okay, me and Todd, we're both Batman fans. So basically, to put it this way, basically it's kind of like when Batman sees something going on and it's too good to be true, and then it's like, all right, something's up here. Like, and then another way of explaining it is basically Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Spidey senses are tingling. That's probably a better way to explain it. But no, I completely agree with you. When I saw the Sunday service, I'm like, all right, here we go. What's going on now? And then he teamed up with Joel Osteen or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not really feeling this. And then all this money just to pay for a T-shirt. I'm like, and then he goes crazy with these tweets. He talked about how he was supposedly in debt and he needed money for this and that. So it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together, basically. Um, yeah, I feel the same way you do about it. I would say in terms of his discography, I would say his first three albums to me were all great. I didn't care for 808s and Heartbreak. I know what his situation was at the time, so I'm not trying to dump on that. But it just wasn't my cup of tea.
I got
Uh,
you.
my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I think is a really good album. I don't think it's a classic like majority of people think it is. I do think it is a good album though.
Yeah,
To me, after that, he fell off. Yeezus to me was terrible. Now, the funniest part about this is I always tell people this. When I went with you to Made in America to see him perform, I didn't know he was going to perform that. but when he performed it, it sounded like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, I don't even like this album. Why does it sound good? Which is a credit to him as a performer, because he was
Yeah.
able to make it sound, you know, how he projected in his mind. But I just can't listen to the album. I really think that's his worst album by far. The Life of Pablo, I always call it like I'm trying to find a like a non-cursing way to put it, but I call it a beautiful cluster mess. Like basically,
Oh,
like
you could
the
curse if you
beats.
want to.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna be PG for this one, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, basically, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Like there's certain songs that I do like on the album, but then there's other songs where I'm like, here you go with the Yeezus stuff again. And then, you know, obviously his content has decreased for several reasons, not only because he, you know, gotten older, but you know, ghostwriters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he had another album called Yeah, I Believe, which I actually enjoyed that album. It's very short. I mean, you basically call it an EP, but I enjoyed the album more than Life of Pablo. I've been criticized for it for saying that because a
The
lot of
one
people do like.
the
Go
one
ahead.
you're saying that has the EP, is that the one
Mhm.
where he says like I'm bipolar?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. I listened to it.
Hmm.
I didn't find it bad, but it was
Hmm.
nothing to make me want to push repeat,
Hmm. I
right?
see what you're saying.
And like Life of Pablo, um, okay, you know I'm like a Jay-Z fan, right? But
Hmm.
the album he did with Beyonce, I didn't like it at all.
Oh, you talking about the Carters
Yeah, I
album?
did
Okay.
I didn't like that at all, right? But here's
Hmm.
the weird thing. I tend to not like their songs when they were on his album either.
Hmm.
When they did too. There's like maybe two that I liked. But here's the thing. I actually liked that album, The Carters, better than Life with Pablo, and I really didn't like that other one. So that tells you I didn't like Life with Pablo at all. And
Yeah.
then as far as the EP,
Hmm.
it actually both of those seemed like they were uh like throwaway tracks. Like like
Hmm.
like oh I didn't finish it, but what the heck? People are gonna buy my stuff anyways. You know,
Yeah.
that's the vibe I got from it, and that's why I don't trust like the Sunday service, um, all this like God stuff because there's the same way like they go, oh, here he goes again. He's just being a gimmick. He, you can't really, you don't really know where he is, like who he is at this point. Like is
Hmm.
he the guy from before, and then everybody's gonna blame the Kardashians? But as far as but his personality, and I get the
Yeah.
bipolar thing, but the music itself is affected. Like, oh, okay, there's a good way we can look at it. I would say Life of Pablo, he was being bipolar, right? The EP,
Hmm.
he's in this calm state.
Hmm.
808s, he's in a manic state.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then his classic albums, it was like he was in hunger mode and his mom was alive and he was, you know what I mean? Like there's this adventure, but
Hmm.
the rest of the stuff seemed like it was just kind of very manic, very erratic.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that point. And that I think that would be a good way to go into more of his political stance and whatnot. I do think he tells the truth at times, but it's really fragmented. I think obviously I've said this to you before. I do think his brain is fragmented for different reasons or whatnot, but I do think he says things that can be true, but then he ruins it by, as you saying, going this manic state. So, for instance, when he was in Sacramento and he went on that tirade while he was like above the fence and all that stuff doing his
Oh
concert,
yeah.
he said some things that were definitely true. But the way that he delivered it and all that stuff, and then next thing he's in a mental uh, hospital or wherever you want to call it, that UCLA spot. it's like, all right, here we go. Like you might have delivered some things that are very true, but you ruined it by doing this, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
And I think he did the same thing when he just recently did his little political thing down south with the whole Planned Parenthood and discussing slavery and stuff like that. Um,
Is that
I think he. Oh, go ahead.
no? I'm saying, is that the one where he was like, almost killed my daughter?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. See, he wasn't on his meds. That's what it comes
Hmm.
across, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's sad because he obviously has a problem, but you lose credibility because your handlers should still be able to say, "Hey, dude, if you don't listen to me, we're walking because you're going to destroy your career," like something like that. Not that, like I get him. He wants to be like dropping hints and make people see the mystery and follow him more, and then look at him as some kind of prophet or whatever because he's Kanye and I'm a god. And then the next
Hmm.
minute he's like, I was on Nutrisystem because I was scared to come out because I was fat. Like a god don't think like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna speak towards my generation per se. I feel like a lot of them are done with Kanye, and they're just like, dude, we had enough of this. Like every time you go on these tirades or whatever the case may be, some album comes out. So in their minds, they're like, oh, I see what's going on. You're doing all this to stir controversy, to build up promotion for your album, and then on top of that, the album don't deliver. And then on top of that, even before the album gets delivered, you say it's going to come on this date. It does not come on this date.
Yeah.
It usually comes several months later. And then the excuse is, well, I did like 100 mixes. Like, okay, I mean, obviously you mix stuff. I mix some of my own stuff, but it's just like, dude, that's not an excuse. So, like,
Yeah.
clearly, this is a ploy for some other BS.
Yeah. Or on the other side of that could be his insecurity. I gotta put this out and everybody's waiting for it, right? And then
Hmm.
there goes that like inner ear of like, oh, this sucks, the guy on the other side of the shoulder. And then he
Hmm.
goes into that state where it's like, crying and stuff, like, they're gonna laugh at me, the Jenny Craig, state, and then
Hmm.
from there, he just avoids, and then he goes and does whatever he's doing. I mean, he's got all the money to do it, and then he just leaves it there. And part of him, I think, which is gonna make him fall, is that he feels like, oh, no matter what, people are still gonna buy my stuff, and and I like I can come out every 5 years, like a Michael Jackson did, and then just sell records. But that's not the case because yeah, my generation that was like that. I think when he came out, we were rocking him more, you know, like your generation learned of him, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? but from my generation kind of thing. And then he came kind of like blended into your generation as he matured. Like your generation, I think, got the more weaker albums. I don't know if that
From
from Kanye. Because how old were you when his first albums came out?
okay, when his first album came out, I was 14 years old. I was in
Okay,
I was in high
so
school
that's
because it's
that's normal.
2004.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's normal hip hop age, like listening and
yeah,
younger. Okay, so then
yeah.
yeah, so we're in the same thing then. Maybe I just outgrew him.
Okay, when would you say that you did outgrow grow him though?
Um, After Twisted Fantasy, I think I just kind of was done.
Okay, so the funny thing is we're basically around the same timeline though about like not really like being on that wave so much anymore. Cause after that the fun okay, so when he dropped uh my dark twisted fantasy, originally I was kind of iffy on it because the power song was cool to me, but I felt like it displayed more of how egotistical he is, And then he came with the song with Pusha T where he said "Toast to the assholes." So it's kind of like, but the other records I thought was better. So it took me a while, I think, to like actually appreciate that album. But like when he came out with New Slaves and then the Black Skinhead, I was already off. Like I
Right.
was just like, all right, dude. Like I already didn't care for the 808s joint. The Dark Twisted Fantasy is good, but I had to come around to it. But like when he was doing the Yeezus whole promotion,
Yeah, that was
I'm like,
terrible.
there's a lot of hypocrisy coming out, not only through the music, but the stuff you say in the interviews. So I only heard that album once, and I literally deleted it and sent it straight to the recycle bin after the first listen, because I was listening to the lyrics and I'm just like, dude, you're doing all this rambunctious screaming, like you're not going anywhere, like there's no like legit content, which I'm not used to at the time, at least from him. So I'm like, I'm good off of this. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we're,
yeah.
we're we're about the same. I mean, like what you were saying earlier, as far as like how uh he just kind of goes left field where he's contradicting. That's what I'm saying. Like this whole reason why I don't even pay attention to what's going on now is
Hmm.
it is exactly that. They're talking about him. So if nobody's talking about you, you're pretty much dead.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Jay-Z and him, Jay-Z doesn't care if anybody talks about him. He's set.
Yeah.
He's making underground money. You know what I mean? So like Kanye still has an ego where he's
Hmm.
like, I need people to be praising, worshiping me, and these shoes and this, and like you said, like how can you talk about doing like church stuff and then you selling socks for $30 or you selling a sweatshirt for $120?
Hmm.
Like that's not, you know what I mean? Like it ain't worth that. If somebody if they love him this much, they'll drink his poison. When people go, I'll die for you. So that doesn't mean you give him the poison,
Yeah, that's the Jim Jones effect.
right?
What was your initial thoughts when you first saw Kanye with Trump at his hotel?
At first I thought he wanted to align himself with someone of power. Then I thought his wife was doing those deals where the reform and he was on the other side of that. And then I thought he seemed, when they started wearing the MAGA hat, I was like, he wants to be looked at as Trump is. Like to go, he's a billionaire, it's power. Like I'm his buddy. Imagine I can call, and this is why I say this. Um, okay, hip hop in general is about competition, right?
Hmm.
So if you remember Jay-Z's album, I don't remember which one it was, but I think he did it with Jeezy, and he said, "I can um, get Obama on the jack, like he can get him on the phone,
Hmm.
right? And he's got and I personally had a hand in getting him elected. It's the same political stunt to me, where he was like his Jay-Z's thing is, oh, I was like, I'm that big that I can hit Obama on the jack, right?
Hmm.
Whereas Kanye looks at it as like I'm his buddy, and my wife is doing business with him, and we're like if you look at him as the elite because he's a president, you got to look at me as the elite too.
Hmm. Know the reference for those who might not remember this, but this is not the first time Kanye has tried this before. There's a song called "Click" off the Cold Summer album where he says that he's kicking it with the CIA. Just a point of reference. Uh, Yeah. When I saw Kanye with Trump, I'm like, here we go. Here goes another ploy. And then on top of that, he had dissed Obama. So I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. That he wore the MAGA hat and all this stuff. Um, it's to me, I'll say this: it's one thing if he really was a Republican and that's what his beliefs were. I don't have to agree with it, but it's one thing if he was genuine about that particular aspect. It's a whole nother thing using it just so you could like rap about it or flaunt about it on Twitter or whatever the case may be. Obviously, I didn't agree with the move, but clearly that's not the first time he's done something controversial. It hasn't been the last time, so it's always something when it comes to that. He also was in Forbes magazine earlier this year, where he had talked about wanting to run for president, and which led to that situation when he was in the South. But I also wanted to discuss some of the other things that he talked about in that Forbes magazine. So one of the other points was he denounced taking vaccines, especially the COVID vaccine. I would like to hear your take on the upcoming COVID vaccine.
Tell me how you feel. Imagine that.
That's why they copy the way they eyeing your grill, they eyeing your chains. They copy the way they follow the signs, they follow the brains. They copy the wave, the flows, the hoes, they jacking for clout. They copy the wave. All these rappers, yeah, they lame, ain't got no game. That's why they copy the wave.